Teri Yanovitch, and today I'd like to introduce you to a very powerful tool. Have you ever walked into a restaurant with your family and you either saw something or smelled something and said, ugh, let's leave, and you all turned around and walked out? They might have had the most friendly waiters and waitresses, but you didn't even give the staff a chance because the environment spoke so negatively to you. Well, that's the impact of Everything Speaks. Everything Speaks is a phrase that I love to use because it connotates that everything in your physical environment is sending a message. And is it the message you want your organization to be sending? That everything your customer sees, hears, smells, and touches makes an impact upon their experience. Is it a negative impact or is it a positive one? This is a tool that you can use with your staff to all come together to be able to talk about what do you want your physical environment to look like. To give you an example of this, I thought I would use a very popular place, a Starbucks, as an example. And when you go into a Starbucks, there are different items in that environment that impact your experience, subconsciously and consciously. So let's use this Everything Speaks checklist as we walk through, looking through the lens of the customer and that we're the customers, and do a walkthrough of a Starbucks location. So the first thing when we walk in is we see the floors, the tables, the chairs, the condiment bar, and the counters where we go to place our orders. In an Everything Speaks checklist, we want to identify what would make these items satisfactory and what would make these items unsatisfactory. So when we walk in and we see the floors, what would make them satisfactory? If they're nice and clean, they've been mopped freshly, perhaps they've even been waxed and shined, there's no litter or trash. Unsatisfactory? There's trash on the floor, those little straw paper wrappers, we see dirt, and that is very unsatisfactory, especially when we're ordering a food product. What would be the action is then the third part of it, because the action asks each employee, what would we be willing to do? Do we go call somebody to come clean it up? Or are we willing ourselves to get that broom, in this particular case with the floor, and sweep it up and clean it up ourselves? Now, looking through our lens as the customer, we step over to the counter to be able to place our order. Satisfactory is everything that is nicely in place, it looks organized, there's not too much of all the different kinds of things perhaps they're trying to sell you as extras, and that there's plenty of room for you to be able to set your purse if you're a lady down to get out your wallet. As unsatisfactory, we might say that there's a lot of clutter there, that nobody has monitored people setting down used coffee cups in that area, and that there's no space for you actually to put something down. Maybe you've got a newspaper in hand or something else in hand, and to get out your wallet. What's the action to take? Do we tell somebody else to go clean it up? Are we going to pick it up and organize it, throw away the things that shouldn't be there, and make sure that it's a very presentable appearance for that first step when the customer is making the order? Let's jump over then to the condiment bar. We've got our order now in hand, and we go over to the condiment bar. What would make it satisfactory? There's plenty of straws available, napkins available, sugar, any of the extra condiments, that it's clean, there's no spills, it's been nice and wiped off and kept up. Versus the unsatisfactory, we may describe as everything is discombobulated and disorganized, and that there's spilled sugar packets on or spilt coffee or other liquids. Will it negate our entire experience? No, probably not. But it just starts to whittle away these little things. They start to gnaw at the experience that takes away from that whole positive feeling that you want someone to walk away with and say, wow. So the action then, the team decides, all right, who's going to be responsible for making sure, and how often do we want to do a walkthrough of the condiment area to make sure that it is always looking satisfactory. You can use this checklist on all the different areas within your organization. The key is to get the employee involvement so that they are suggesting and they are making the commitment and taking the ownership too as to what are the actions that they are willing to do. So the Everything Speaks checklist is an opportunity for you to have a discussion with not only your current employees, but also a wonderful procedural checklist to give to new employees when they're hired into your department, so that everybody knows the expectations and everybody knows what their role and responsibilities are in keeping your area looking the very best it can, so that when your customers come into your department, your organization, that they will have that physical environment sending the message you want it to send every time.